If you're dreaming about living directly on the ocean here on the Florida Space Coast, Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach, Indialantic, Melbourne, this is a video you really need to watch first. Because oceanfront living in Brevard County is incredible, but the true cost is way more than just the mortgage payment. And I don't mean in a vague, scary way, I mean in a very real, very predictable, very budgetable way, once you understand where the money actually goes. I'm Carrie Leota, a local Space Coast realtor, and I live and work right here in Brevard County. I tour oceanfront condos and homes all the time, and I also see where buyers get caught off guard. Not because they can't afford the home, but because they didn't plan for the total cost of owning oceanfront property. Today, I'm breaking down what it really costs to live oceanfront in Brevard County, beyond the mortgage, and how that looks different for condos versus single-family homes. Here's the headlines that most people don't hear up front. For many true oceanfront owners in Brevard County, the real annual cost of ownership can be up to 30 to 60% higher than just the principal and interest payment. That's not because someone is trying to scare you. It's because oceanfront property has unique expenses tied to insurance, associations, maintenance, exposure to salt, wind, and storms. When you strip it down, oceanfront ownership here breaks into 5 main cost buckets: property taxes, insurance and homeowners, wind and flood, HOA and condo association fees, utilities and ongoing maintenance, and for the condos specifically, reserves and special assessments. Every single one of these behaves differently depending on whether you're buying a condo or a single family home, and how old the building is, and how exposed it is to the ocean. Let's start with property taxes. Brevard County actually has a relatively low effective property tax rate compared to other coastal counties in Florida. But oceanfront values are high, so the dollar amount adds up fast. For a typical oceanfront condo or home priced around $850,000 to $1 million, it's very common to see annual property taxes land somewhere in the $8,000 to $15,000 range, especially in the first year after purchase. Homestead and Save Our Homes can help limit increases over time, but buyers need to budget based on the post-sale value, not the seller's old tax bill. Insurance is where oceanfront ownership really starts to separate from inland homes. For a standard inland Brevard home, homeowners insurance might be $3,000 to $5,000 a year. Once you move to the barrier island, Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach, Indialantic, premiums rise sharply, especially for older construction. For oceanfront single-family homes, it's not unusual to see $7,000 to $10,000 per year or more for homeowners and wind coverage alone. Flood insurance is separate, and while it's not always technically required, it's strongly recommended in many oceanfront and lower elevation areas. Flood policies can range anywhere from $800 to several $1,000s per year, depending on elevation and the coverage. This is why I always tell buyers to never guess on insurance. Get real quotes before you fall in love with the view. Now let's talk about HOAs and condo fees, because this is where many oceanfront costs are hidden in plain sight. Most oceanfront properties in Brevard County are condos, and association fees cover a lot, like building insurance, exterior maintenance, roofs, elevators, pools, beach walkovers, and reserves. In Cocoa Beach and surrounding beachside areas, recent condo fees typically range from about $500 per month on the low end and all the way up to a couple $1,000s or more for direct ocean or luxury buildings. One thing buyers really need to understand is condo reserves and special assessments. Florida law now requires associations to properly fund reserves, and older oceanfront buildings are often catching up on the decades of deferred maintenance, concrete restoration, waterproofing balconies, and structural upgrades. That's why you'll see the higher monthly dues or one-time special assessments. And yes, those assessments can range from $10,000 to well over $100,000 per unit, depending on the building and the scope of work. This doesn't mean oceanfront condos are bad. It means buyers need to review documents carefully and understand what's really funded versus what's coming up. And then salt air changes everything too. Roofs, paint, railings, windows, HVAC systems, they all wear out faster on the ocean than they do inland. Even newer homes and condos require more frequent maintenance, more specialized contractors, and higher replacement costs. That's why oceanfront owners should always budget a dedicated maintenance or reserve line item, even when the property looks pristine. So what does this actually look like in real numbers? A typical oceanfront condo may have $4,000 to $5,000 mortgage payment, $900 to $1,200 in HOA fees, $700 to $1,200 in monthly taxes, and additional insurance or reserves depending on the building. That puts the real monthly carrying costs closer to $6,000 or $7,000 or more per month. For an oceanfront single-family home, a mortgage could be $800 to $1,200 in insurance, $800 to $1,200 in taxes, and a maintenance reserve. Those homes often land in the $7,000 to $8,000+ per month, ranging all in. So the smartest way to think about oceanfront living in Brevard County is not, can I afford the mortgage, but what are all my realistic all-in annual costs? Once buyers see the full picture, taxes, insurance, HOA, and maintenance, oceanfront ownership becomes more predictable. The view is priceless, but the costs don't have to be a surprise. If you're considering oceanfront living in Cocoa Beach or anywhere along Florida's Space Coast, I'm happy to walk you through the real numbers for your specific price point and property type. I'm Carrie Leota, and if you want more honest local breakdowns like this, make sure you like and subscribe and reach out anytime. I'm going to put my contact information below so you'll have everything you need to text, email, or call.